Welcome to Survivor NSFW. What is going on? It is a cold and frigid Monday. We're here with very special guest, Jonny Survivor, Jonny Island, Johnny Mundo, the mayor of Slamtown. What's going on, my brother?
Luckily, in Los Angeles, it's not that cold and it's not that frigid. So it's pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Good. So, man, I'm super excited to have you on the show. You were on one of the greatest Survivor seasons, quite possibly of all time, Survivor David versus Goliath. So, were you a fan of Survivor prior to getting on the show? Kind of give me a little bit of history of how you actually got on the show to begin with.
I was a fan. I was a huge fan of like the first couple of seasons. As a matter of fact, and I've said this before, like I actually made an audition tape for season 2. It's a really weird one. I was like, it must have been like 20, and I did the whole thing with this weird German accent because I thought it would be funny. They didn't call me.
Casting did not agree with the funniness.
No, they didn't. They didn't think it was funny.
Did they think you were just like some like neo-Nazi or something?
I'm sure they just threw it away. They're probably like, nope.
No, we don't need young Hitler.
I'm glad we're talking about it now because I'm gonna try to dig that thing up at some point. It also probably wasn't even a very good German accent.
Right.
Even better.
That was so long ago. Yeah.
Then I kind of channel your inner Alex Wright.
that was before I even got into wrestling. Like,
oh wow.
Like Survivor season 2 was like, what was that, like 2000?
Yeah, a long time ago.
2000. Yeah. So because even when you did your first Tough Enough, you weren't even really into wrestling then.
Well, I was big into wrestling then, and
okay,
but
you were into yourself more than wrestling.
Well, isn't everybody?
Well, the good ones, yeah.
So to finish the Survivor thing, I was a big fan, and then I kind of took a big break, and I started watching it again, cramming for this show. Our Uber Eats is here. For wrestling, similarly, like I was a huge fan growing up. I watched the WWF on the weekends. I spent the weekends trying to put my buddies in Boston crabs and camel clutches in each other's backyards, to the dismay of our parents. But then, like, I was a high school and collegiate wrestler. I wrestled D1 at UC Davis, and I feel like I didn't have like a ton of time really to like watch TV then. I was like training all the time, and then when I wasn't training, I was like in college, so I was like going out and hanging out with girls and like kind of like living my life. And when Tough Enough, which is a reality show how I got into wrestling, happened, I got really sucked back into that world of wrestling.
So would you say, I mean, wrestling obviously is your profession, your career. How would you compare the Survivor experience to wrestling? I mean, you're living, you guys had a lot of shitty weather in Fiji this time with the cyclones. It rained a lot. You're a big dude. You know, we talked before, like you work out a lot. How was the elements and the lack of food for you?
The one thing that I was kind of prepared for is in wrestling, if you're a professional wrestler, you get used to being uncomfortable very quickly because you're constantly staying up on a long flight or a long drive or crammed into a small space or going without sleep or like your back or your knee or something is hurt. So I was used to being uncomfortable. I was not used to being that hungry. Like that was more of something that I had to deal with in like a high school and collegiate wrestling in college, cutting weight. The hardest thing for me actually was the cold. It's super weird, but I could not I couldn't sleep. I was shivering all the time, and I would like shiver and like get up and for example, look at the beach. Mike White's passed out on the sand, and he's just wearing a shirt, and I didn't know how the hell he was doing that. And everyone was cold, but I kind of like mistakenly thought that I was just gonna be okay.
No. On Pearl Islands, we won a sewing machine, and Krista made me these sleeve things, and I think that's how I slept because they were sewn on the end. So like we had mosquitoes really bad. So yeah. But just staying like that, just keeping me warm. I was the first person to go to sleep every night and the last person to wake up every morning. And I think that was a game changer for me personally.
So I know, John, you were saying that originally you kind of potentially were interested in playing The Amazing Race with your wife. Is that right?
So They reached out to us. Like they
Yes.
recruited us for the Amazing Race.
Did they see you through social media, or what was the connection?
I think so. I think they were looking for a pro wrestling couple, and we'd been posting. We'd got engaged. We'd been posting a lot of stuff leading up to our wedding, and I think they'd seen some of those posts when they were probably searching for a either newlywed or engaged pro wrestling couple.
So here's my question: she was not eligible because of her being from Canada. Okay, now Canadians are allowed to play Survivor if they do a Blood versus Water 3, where they invite a former survivor and their loved one. Would you go back on the show with your wife?
They asked her already, and she said no.
Really?
Why?
She doesn't
Don't
want to
you
play
think
Survivor.
that? What's that?
She didn't want to. She didn't want to do it.
Don't you think that would help her wrestling career?
I don't know.
I think it would.
Maybe, but
No,
she's listening. She goes, not happening. But would it happen? Like, I mean, a platform like Survivor definitely helps your profile, and like it gets your name out there. Ultimately, like if you don't really want to play, I don't think you should play. Like, I think that's like a mature decision because it's not easy. Like you get out there.
Yeah. You don't want to be there. Yeah, you'll figure out. Well, I mean, if you know you don't want to go, you'll figure out really quickly you really, really don't want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're not like if your heart's not in it, you're gonna quit.
It's not fun. Like people like, how fun is Survivor? I'm like, it's not.
Well, I think it's more fun now.
And, you reflect on it.
Than when Jonny played. Earlier seasons were a lot harder than I think when I played season 26, John. And, I was the 7th person voted out. You were the 7th person out. When you got voted out of your tribe, I mean, was there anything you think you could have done to not get voted out the night that you did?
Oh yeah, tons of stuff. I mean, I could have.
Why didn't you
do it? Colluded more with the. No, I just didn't want to. I just felt.
Okay.
I mean, do you have any regrets?
There's tons of stuff that you think of after the fact. Of course, hindsight is 20/20. Yeah, like
right.
I could have colluded more with the Davids, and I've talked to them all in retrospect because like I didn't have much of a relationship. I had a good relationship just like personally, but gameplay strategically, not really. They thought that like, you know what? Why don't we get rid of John because he hasn't talked strategy with us? Like that could have saved me. There's always something that you could have done.
Right. But life goes on. You got your career, and so what was your relationship like with the Brochachos? Are you guys still in communication with one another? Do you still talk to the cast after the game is done?
You know what? Like leading up to the finale quite a bit, and still to this day, I'd say I still talk to like a handful of the cast relatively regularly. But it's tough because like the further you drift away from your experience in the island, for me, I feel like I've been swept up with my my regular life again with wrestling, and like wife and I just bought a house. We're moving into it, and like I said, don't have a ton of time tonight because I'm directing this thing is like a horror movie that my wife and I wrote, and we're shooting it tomorrow. It's going to be a pretty wicked thing, but I'm preparing the shot list, and I've got a bunch of meetings, and I've got to go pick up a few props, hopefully before places close still. But you get swept up into your life outside Survivor, and I feel like I check in, and whenever I'm in if I'm in Texas, I'll give Carl's a heads up. If I'm in anywhere near Kentucky, I'll let Nick know because he's a huge wrestling fan. Same for Florida with Christian and Dan, the Brochachos. Like I'll be in touch with them as much as possible. Yeah.
That's awesome. So what is on? Go ahead, Jonny.
Did WWE reach out to you when they found out you were on this season of Survivor?
No, but we've been in like kind of like a relatively like standard type of contact over the past several years. They know that I'm currently signed to Lucha Underground and Impact.
You're locked into the Lucha contract.
And they've said that they're excited to talk to me when I'm not under contract anywhere. But I think, it doesn't really do them any good to reach out while I'm already locked in somewhere.
Gotcha. I assume because I was just like, man, this seems like a no-brainer for them, but like that would make sense.
And I know you're short on time, dude. What is next? Like, what is up for 2019 for you, dude? Like, Survivor's over. Your life is back in order. What can the fans that are listening to Survivor NSFW know about what you got going on this year?
Well, so I mentioned the wife and I bought a house, and I'm wrestling my balls off to pay for it. I'll put it that way, which is awesome. So
That's a good problem to have.
Like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and she's wrestling her ovaries off to pay for it too. Both of us are.
The Knockouts champion.
Yeah, we're the two of us actually are the first newlywed respective world champion and Knockouts champion of Impact, and actually moreover than that, any major like televised wrestling promotion. I think we're the first time a married couple has held both of the major championships, the men's and women's, of any individual company.
Were Punk and AJ they weren't champs at the same time?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Or they might have been married or something. But I did some research, and I don't think they were champs at the same time. I think that was the deal for that.
Okay, and Edge and Beth Phoenix. I'm just throwing out other.
No, Edge and Beth weren't married at the time.
Okay.
I feel like Hunter and Stephanie again weren't married at the time.
Yeah. Shoot married. They probably weren't married.
Either I don't know.
Okay, maybe not. Okay,
but,
cool.
But so
that's a cool fun fact, man.
No one has been able to debunk that on Twitter or anything. And I've actually I posed it because I was curious.
Sure. Oh, they'll tell you real quick.
Yeah, and there've been people kind of arguing on both sides, and so far I feel like it's held pretty tight. That fact.
That's awesome. I'm very that's a really cool. That's a cool stat. I don't have I'm defeated at marriage. I was gonna say I'm undefeated. I'm undefeated at divorce, but I'm defeated at marriage. So yeah, I'm not bringing that one to the resume.
Well, I just want to say, John, that it was a pleasure watching you play Survivor, because the very first episode, I was like, as a fan and a player, I'm seeing you're rattling off all these aliases. You're kind of like playing this persona of the wrestling guy, right? But there's more to you than just the wrestling persona, and I think that America got to see the real you, come into your game, and just like you're playing the game as just like we would, like not the pro wrestler dude. So it was cool, because I think a lot of people thought that, oh man, this guy's just gonna be this over the top kind of dude. But
Matt, thanks for saying that, because that's exactly what you just said is what I was kind of hoping to have happen. Because and you guys probably know this better than I did at the time, or most people. If I had gone in there and told everyone that I did tell everyone I was the mayor of Slamtown, but if I'd acted like I'm the shaman of sexy and talked in a weird voice and said weird stuff all the time, I would have gotten voted out even sooner probably.
Right. Honestly, dude, it was amazing to see you go as far as you did, considering the threat level. Obviously, you're a social guy because you're in show business, and you're a physical guy, which targets on your back. So I think for you to be the 7th voted out, and I think that it couldn't have gone any better for you. I was a big fan. I loved watching you play. I'd love to watch you play again, but as you know, you got a lot of shit going on in your life, and I wish you the best in all your future endeavors.
Oh, we don't like the word future endeavors.
Future endeavors, man. That's what they say when you're fired.
Really? Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not a. Well, I don't mean to say that. Well, that's pretty.
No, I know.
That's pretty.
Those fighting words.
No, but no. In 2009, I just I may try to come and see you on March 2nd in Louisville, man. So yeah, right on.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Impact Wrestling invades Ohio Valley Wrestling, and Matt will be there. One quick thing I want to get out right before we let you go. I know you on a personal level, and I had talked to other wrestlers about you going to play Survivor, and this is after you left. I didn't spoil the secret before you left. I might have known before you left that you were going out there, but a word that a lot of wrestlers use to describe you, and not in a negative way, is quirky. You are a lot of wrestlers are just this rah, 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 and you're not that guy. You're quieter, quirkier guy. And I, from playing Survivor, I know that it strips away whatever these fake machinations that people are labeled under, and the real person is revealed. And I'm seeing when you went out there, I'm just like, John's gonna, if you think John's gonna walk around as the shaman of sexy, you're wrong. Like the quirky, quiet, more reserved, that individual is going to be shed, and we're going to see that. And when the brachachos are formed with you, Hot Cop Dan, and especially Christian, I'm just like, John is Christian Christian's John without the muscles. Like
that's a pretty funny observation, guys. I totally agree. Like, yeah, Christian and I really enjoyed talking to him, and it felt like that. Like, we both have like a certain degree of intellectual curiosity, and it was cool hearing him talk about robotics and all of his theories, and he was fascinated hearing me talk about pro wrestling. But he's a quirky guy too. Yeah, you're right. I feel like we're both, either he or I could be the mayor of Slamtown if things had worked out differently genetically.
Or comptroller.
Yeah. Well, he is the comptroller. He's
comptroller. That title is not on the line, folks. So,
yeah.
Well, John, I know we're against the clock. We're gonna let you go. Thank you so much. And anyone that'd like to hear more from this interview, we do have we did film and audioly record an hour prior to this. So go Patreon. It's at patreon.com/Survivor NSFW. That's patreon.com/Survivor NSFW for another hour of questions. And you didn't hold anything back. I can't believe you said some of the things that you said. Call us right now on the hotline.
Oh, man, I guess you could only hear that if you go on Patreon, huh? Oh,
Yeah.
Well, cheers and good luck to the movie deal you're doing, man. And I look forward to meeting you sometime, man.
Same. Thanks for having me, man. And great to kind of meet you face to face.
Yeah.
Match to face.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone knows.
Anytime you guys want to have me back, and I'll have more time. It'd be cool to come back sometime in the future too.
Yep.
Love to have you back. And as everyone knows, you can get a Johnny Fairplay t-shirt at johnnyfairplay.com. But the same place that sells those shirts is Pro Wrestling Tees. Go to prowrestlingtees.com and search Johnny Mundo, and you can get a Brachacho shirt, a Slamtown shirt, and one of his 8,000 other aliases. So Johnny Gimmick over there, he's got you covered.
Right on. Cheers, brother. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem,
Take care.
man.